Hi everybody, Lana Shalak here, and I wanted to welcome you to tonight. We're talking about goal setting, and I hope that you will subscribe to my channel, like, and leave me a comment. And I'm coming from my home office in Fort St. John, BC, Canada. So tonight is kind of goal setting. It's kind of a broad thing, but I do have some tips at the end. You stay till the end. Some things that hopefully will help you work through different goals that you want to achieve. So let's begin. So we're already halfway through the year, if you haven't thought about it, which to me, I was like, wow, halfway through the year. And so when I look at the goals in the past, you want to become aware of what you're doing and why you're doing them. And if you're not succeeding, that should tell you a lot. So you may have to redefine them, modify some of the goals or things that surround your goals to achieve them. And of course that falls into number 3, adaptation and things that need to be changed. Last, sometimes the hardest, is having the stamina, the patience to stick with it. As you all know that we are living in a world where everything's fast food, fast everything. So let's look at number 1. Observe. The first step to understand how you actually spending your time. And the only way to do is to approach your schedule as a scientist. Observe, record, and of course without judgment. So for the next week, what you want to do is become really conscious of your time and documenting everything that you're doing. And of course, true to fashion, doing it the old school way, paper and pen. That will help you decide what you're wanting to do. So once you have your information all put together, take a look at your time. Did your time actually go to do what you wanted to do? What kinds of things did you waste your time on? Such as, first thing in the morning, instead of maybe reading your devotions or reading a self-help book, did you go on Facebook and just kind of scroll thoughtlessly through what was on there? And after you have your data, are you seeing a trend? We are creatures of habit. So after so many days of waking up and doing the same thing every day, it's very hard to get out of those habits or trends, as I put here. Did you spend the majority of your time on what is the most important to you? Like, for instance, if you're in team building, are you talking and approaching people? What are you doing every day to help you achieve that? And how much time did you spend on your unimportant tasks? And what can you do to move and change that? Unimportant tasks, I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure what yours are, but sometimes mine are just, like just sitting and watching TV. That is it's not even a task. It's just unimportant. And so you may have, number 2 is to define your schedule. And if you were surprised on how your days actually were spent, you're not alone. We often get caught being reactive in our business instead of proactive. That means we spend too much of our day reacting to outside demands instead of deliberately choosing what we want to work on. And for instance, for me, mine is to consciously reach out to 10 people a day. And some days I know that I don't do that, and you can see that happening. But where you start making a choice to do that, you'll start seeing the change. And of course, we're going to look at the details of your week, and you may want to start asking yourself, what kind of projects would your dream week contain of? And that may be something like, it could be something as small as something you wanted to finish around your house, you wanted to finish an information project that you wanted to hand out to people that are on your team or otherwise. And what time would your day begin or work end at? So some people, I'm sure you've read the 4-Hour Work Week, and some people want to start early in the morning and only work till noon, and then other people like working from noon to the afternoon. They find that they're most productive in the afternoon. So you really need to define what is your schedule for you. What would you say or do to make your life and work more enjoyable or meaningful? And that can be a variety of different things, because it's such a cliche, enjoyable and meaningful. My life to be meaningful might be going and helping out at my church. Well, yours could be helping out at the local food mart or something like that. Helping out Girl Guides, helping out Boy Scouts, volunteering for a soccer tournament or something that just no attachments, just enjoyable. Looking at the details of your life, what makes you happy? With work, with friends, a happy place, something that pleases your soul. So those kind of all fit together that I suggested, whether it's going in. I used to volunteer at a seniors group where I would go in and help the seniors. I actually cooked for them, and then I would sit down and have a meal with them after I finished cooking. That to me was so enjoyable. Getting to know some seniors. They're a little bit, they're different, but they have such a story to tell. And it's so interesting to hear them talk about things that they enjoy doing. And of course, you may need to adapt your schedule to fit your goal. And, sometimes you have a big, hairy, audacious goal that you want to achieve. Well, you need to start making little changes that will help you reach those goals. For instance, it could be clearing the schedule and making sure that you're sticking to one task, which I will go on a little bit later, and focusing on that one task till it's done. And that might be your entire project for the week that you wanted to achieve. And you've done that on the first day. Then you can go and move on to the next project that you want to work on. And as you may have heard, that you should be prepared to change your habits. Either become aware of your habits, or your habits will take over your life. And what I mean by that is that in the morning when you get up, what's the first thing you do? Do you just, for me, it's put on my house coat, walk out, and make a cup of coffee. Sometimes you can do that without even thinking about it, and that's what I'm getting at. So when you get up in the morning, if you know what your plan is and you stick to your plan, so some mornings where I know that I'm busier, I get up, I have a shower right away. I'm more conscious of what needs to be done in the morning, where other mornings when I get up and I put my house coat on and I kind of linger around the house to really just walk around the house. And then I find myself just kind of staying in my house coat mode. So that's what I mean by you need to be aware of what your habits are. And that goes right down to the last, before you go to bed. Because some people come home from work and you'll hear what's the first thing they do? They turn on the TV. So I'm not saying that might be their timeout, but realize that that has to be a short period of time, because you don't want to spend 6 hours sitting there in front of the TV and you haven't accomplished your goals. You have to be very mindful of what needs to be done, and you have to stick to your plan. And lastly, it is sticking to the plan. So this is still, ask yourself what really needs to be changed in order to reach your goals. And these are, I guess, more orientated for if you have a business. You know, what would you need to delegate some tasks off your list to do? And that might be even at home, where if you know that tonight you're having a meeting with your team, or you want to do a webinar with them, you need to let your husband know or your spouse know that you're doing this webinar and you're meeting with a team. Can somebody take over and mow the lawn, for example? And some of the less, you may want to table less important projects in order to focus on your big priority ones, which I've already spoken about. And you want to set clear boundaries around your time with clients and team members, because you will find that sometimes they will just encroach over your time if you don't set that up. And of course, you want to prioritize your most important task and be creative, for that day, depending on how things are going for you, of course. And in life, it really is, if you stick to a plan, there will be some days that it doesn't always work out that way, but that's okay, because you know that tomorrow you can pick up where you left off. There are any number of changes that you may need to happen to help focus. I'm having a hard time reading it, I'm sorry. There are any number of changes that may need to happen to help you focus on your goals, but you can only make progress by identifying and applying them. And lastly, it is having stamina to finish what you want over the next 6 months. Let's say you discover a huge portion of your week was taken up by answering emails, phone calls, and texts. This is where you may want to set a timer for each of those activities to keep you on track. So realizing that it's a little bit different for everybody, but if you say half an hour or an hour, you're going to go through your emails. If you're a person that gets a lot of emails, and answer the most important ones, or delegate the other ones that still need to be addressed. And the other thing is, if you have to return phone calls, the same thing. Is there ones that you could pass off to other people? And the same thing with text. And keeping in mind, there will always be interruptions in our lives. The true success is how we handle them. Time blocking is another way to handle them. And that, kind of going back to the emails, where you're allowing the emails to take up a half an hour of your time, phone calls to take another half an hour of your time, texts, same thing. And also shutting off the distractions and focusing on one task at a time. And that's where coming into the projects, closing the door to your office or your room so that you can focus on your tasks. And also the last is keeping a daily track record of how you did and how you can improve will help. If you look at today and it maybe wasn't such a successful plan, but there were still some things that you ticked off bonus, but don't beat yourself up, because tomorrow is a new day and you can keep going. So I hope you enjoyed some goal setting ideas, and I hope this works for you. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.